Well, welcome, Therapy Flow community. I'm pumped to talk about today's topic. I had a half written newsletter on a totally different topic this morning. And I was like, you know what I want to talk about today is Facebook ads instead, because it had just been a while. And it's one of the things that we get really excited about at Therapy Flow because it gets great results with counselors. But there's a couple truths. There's a couple good, bad, and ugly things that you need to know before you dip your toe into the Facebook ads realm. So stick with us. We're going to show you how to get more clients for your therapy practice in the short term and in the long term with Facebook ads, and hopefully keep you out of some of the potholes that people find themselves in when they first try them.
Yeah. So I guess first things first, the good, the bad, and the ugly of the ads. If you ask me like the highlights of Facebook ads, I think of really cheap contacts. So if you're paying for ads, you know how expensive it can be sometimes on Facebook and Instagram. It can be really, really cheap compared to some other platforms. So where ZocDoc, you spend $70 to get someone who's on your calendar who may or may not show up. For the same $70, you could probably get 7 contacts that in some way, shape, or form need help in the way that you can help, right? And so it's really, really cheap compared to some other platforms. It also scales much better than many other platforms. So something like Psych Today, you can't spend more money on Psych Today to get more views in Psych Today. In ZocDoc, you can only spend so much as the calendar will allow you. And even then, you don't 100% control when someone sees you or not. And then platforms like Google Ads, you only have a certain volume of search that you can kind of hit up against. And so even if you had 100% search impression share on therapist near me, the next 10 keywords that you might need to hit, there's only going to be so many people per month who will search those terms. And so Facebook allows you to go into a space where people aren't necessarily searching, but they do need your services. They do want your help. They want to cut out the pain in the butt of the searching for which therapist is right, and they just want to get matched and find someone that's going to work for them. And so if you can fit those bills, Facebook ads is going to work out pretty nicely for you. It does take a little bit more bandwidth from the administrative perspective because not everybody is a good fit, right? Some people are still shopping around. Some people just need a little help or need to know the direction, or maybe don't fit exactly how you want to do payments. But it creates a really great way to nurture those individuals as they join your list. You can ask them if they want to keep receiving information from you. And it's a great way to just help more people for less cost. So if you're
Yeah.
impact driven, if you really want to create a practice that's helping a lot of individuals, whether or not they're spending money with you, I think Facebook ads is a great way to build relationships. It's a great way to start conversations. It's a great way to uh, get your brand out there and start developing some recognition in your space.
I think in this process, I'll say two things. Number one is as the industry changes and as the marketing process develops, like it has in other spaces, we have to move away from just trying to get the people who are ready to purchase therapy today, especially if you are a scaling group practice or a large group practice. There is a large volume of people that want to seek therapy services, but will always be chasing the person who's ready to just purchase right now or today. And if we never have a long-term perspective or approach that, oh, there are a lot of people out there that will purchase therapy eventually, or they'll purchase therapy when they're ready with a provider that they trust or they've been educated by, or fill in the blank. We'll talk about some of the specific strategies you can implement, but that's also a great place where Facebook ads can shine and showcases to build a long-term list in a pretty cheap manner. But I think second to that is if you're only ever used to getting calls from people who came from their doctor or from your past client who also recommended to your experience is, yep, I'm a therapist. This is what I do. Do you want to work with me? And they say yes or they say no. And you don't have like a lot of like fodder, a lot of chatter coming in through your inbox, your process. When you turn on ads, Google ads or Facebook ads, but especially Facebook ads, that conversation changes a little bit because you're getting just a more diverse set of people typically that aren't quite as close to a buying decision. So if you expect people to get on the phone with you and say, yeah, I'm ready to go after seeing your face one time, that's not how marketing works in almost any industry, but that's kind of the experience in the therapy space for a bunch of reasons. And that's shifting a little bit. But we can still be successful with Facebook ads with not a lot of cost if we just have a slight expectation change that number one, we're going to need to show the ads to people more often and longer. Number two is we might have a few more conversations that aren't our best fit ideal client. And number three, we'll just need to nurture our list a little bit more. And for a couple $100 in those expectations, we can see a bump in clients pretty successfully.
Yeah. This I think the first time that I actually ran Facebook ads, I was kind of confused because I was getting people who were responding that they were claiming that they didn't even see the ad or didn't even know the ad, or like they didn't understand how I got their contact information, or I mean, you really get the gambit. But the thing is that most of those people saw an ad and they have a problem. And so if you just say something like, yep, it looked like you were looking for help with this. Does that sound familiar? Most of them are like, oh, yeah, yeah, that's right. Right. And so you just kind of have a different perspective. But if you got on the phone and someone said that to you, you might be really scared. You might be like, oh my gosh, how did I get their information? Did Facebook send me their, did Facebook robot fill out the form and give me some random person's information I don't call? And it's like, no, that's not how it goes. And so just keep that in mind. Slight expectation shift. It's a slightly different process, but it lets you work with so many more people. And I
Yeah.
think just like when you when you pay to get more good things to happen to you, you also pay to get more bad things to happen to you. It's the same as when you start ranking a lot more on Google from your SEO, and all of a sudden you start getting all the spam calls and all that crazy stuff. That's the first step to know that you're starting to rank well, right? Is that you're getting spam calls. And so you just keep pushing in that direction, and more and more of your people will find you. More and more of the conversations that you'll have will start turning into something helpful. So just
Yeah.
kind of keep that in mind as you guys are going through this. And I'd say maybe like we can go through top three campaigns to try to run.
Yeah, we're gonna share three different kind of campaigns, and if anything, I'd say that these almost stack in terms of the order that you could do them in. I remember when I launched my very first Facebook ad many a years ago. I'd never run one before. I was learning from scratch. I put it together in an afternoon. I followed some YouTube videos on how to like structure the whole thing and navigate the Facebook Ads Manager. I used an image of the person that I was running the ad for, and we got a couple leads, and they got their first client within a couple days of the ads going live. And I was like, woohoo, like this works. It was a pretty cool feedback loop for running ads for my very first counselor. And in some ways, that process hasn't changed. We've learned a lot more. There's some nuance to it, but at the base of it is what we'd call like a headshot campaign. You grab a image of the counselor, yourself, or someone on your team that you want to run the ad for. The creative is just going to be the headshot of the person. If it's kind of like a real headshot, so it doesn't look like to the spectrum of full stock photo, but it also doesn't look like they just rolled out of, which we see those a lot too. Somewhere like on this spectrum of the process, a little bit more towards the nice side of things, that performs pretty well. It's real, it looks good. People like to stop and see images of real people in their profile. Maybe you put a little bit of text on it, probably not. And then that image just stops the scroll, points them to the ad copy, which just explains a little bit about your service set. And maybe Attilio talk about the necessity of like an offer slash specificity of service versus like info dump on everything you do when we're running this type of ad.
Yeah, the best case here is that I mean, imagine yourself on social media. You're just kind of like flicking through and scrolling through stuff, right? And so as someone sees a face, they're like, oh, do I know this person? And then the first line or the first thing that they read is probably going to be the big bold text on the bottom or the first line in the actual post, right? The ad.
Yeah.
And so on that segment, someone needs to understand in a few words what it is that's happening here. And the few words need to be something like, uh, I help women struggling with X problems, right? Something very specific on who you are, what you do, how you help are sort of those key elements that help people understand that they're in the right place if they're reading this. And so if you say something like struggling with anxiety at the workplace or teens, teen relationship issues with their family or something, I don't know, whatever you guys are doing out there, there's a lot of problems to be solved. So choose your problem, choose a big problem, and make it so that if someone reads it, they can identify quickly that they may need your help or they may need to just click to read more. Okay.
Yeah.
And so all we want them to do at this point is click to read more. Right? So
Yeah.
hook their attention by qualifying or disqualifying them based on the problems that you solve. So
Yep.
that's going to get you to the next steps.
Yeah. And one last frame, like who you help, that's called the audience call out. How you help slash what you help with would be step two. Then the reason why your help will work. This is like trust. I'm a licensed counselor. That comes as like step three, step four. I'm a licensed counselor with this experience and this specialty, and it should be pretty tight. And then finally, the result they'll get after working with you. Hey, you're struggling with this. Here's how I help and what I help with. Here's why I can help. Here's how to get a result. And that frame kind of holds true for the next couple of types of campaigns for ad copy as well. So the next one's going to be a lead magnet campaign. We've talked about this some in the past, but the idea of a lead magnet is some sort of free or low cost product of some kind. This could be an information product. This could be a guide, a video series, a subscription to a newsletter, joining a free community group or a free support group. Like if you had a free Facebook community for, stay-at-home moms, whatever it is. It could look like a lot of different things, a guide to choosing an EMDR therapist, a mental health back to school seasonal depression guide. I don't know. Lots of great options out there. It's going to come in the form of written, audio, video, some sort of process there. We've seen people launch, as like little mini courses, $7, $27. These would all be in the category of lead magnets. The purpose of a lead magnet is to get that person who may be either not quite ready to buy therapy yet, or they just don't know you. Your process, there's no trust there, so there's no reason for them to purchase directly from you. So it can be a stair-step way to get them on your list, market to them, deliver value at a free or low-cost way, start the conversation. And, one of the best ways to get people to download your lead magnets is to run ads to them. Hey, download my free guide and get help with blank, blank, and blank. And kind of following that same structure that we just laid out on an ad copy level.
Yeah. So if the headshot campaign gets you $10 to $15 leads, the lead magnet campaign should get you like $2 to $5 leads. And so you're getting like anywhere between 2 to 5 contacts to the one contact that may be a little bit closer to buying from campaign number one, the headshot campaign. And so this is definitely like a longer game. This is like the person who wants to get good at social media. This is like the person who wants to get good with SEO. There's some building that has to happen, right? If you talk to 10 people on the list, it's not likely that those 10 people may activate at anytime soon. But if you talk to 1,000 or 10,000 people on a list, it's very likely that when you make a post, people start interacting, engaging, and actually starting conversations to work with you. And so this is definitely something where you have to build up a list of people so that it's more likely that anytime you create something and deliver something, you get engagements and you get clients from it. However, these individuals may not be ready to buy yet, right? And so just keep that in mind. It's a longer term game. It's something you have to build up a little bit, but it is a great way to kind of pad, put padding around you and your practice. If you a business that's struggling during the summer that has a 10,000 person list versus a business that's struggling during the summer that has no list is a very different business, right? They're very different businesses. So just keep
one last comment just to make this really effective. This applies to communicating in your ad, maybe your image, but then the content itself. Therapy is a big holistic solution to a micro problems that that person's experiencing. They're going to show up to therapy for couples counseling, but they're having communication issues. They're having intimacy issues. They're having fighting issues. They're having parenting issues, right? All of those are things that are causing tension in their marriage and why they're pursuing couples counseling. All you need to do is take one thing that a client in your practice is experiencing, a subset of a subset of a subset of a very specific problem, and to make valuable content to help solve that. And so, hey, here are the 7 questions that can foster more intimacy inside of your marriage. Great starting guide. And the ad is get my 7 questions for creating intimacy in your marriage. And people will be like, cool, I want that, or I don't want that. And it can be a really effective way to, again, grow your list. And then that kind of brings us to the last one, which is a retargeting campaign. And I wish more practices thought through their list and thought through their marketing through the lens of this is a long-term process. And running retargeting campaigns with Facebook ads is a great way to think through it for a long-term process. So there are some HIPAA compliant regulations that you need to be aware of. We can't, Facebook gives us the option of like uploading customer lists to improve our targeting, some of those things. We can't do some of those moves. We can't put pixels for data tracking on certain parts of our website or our products for the back end and share that back with Facebook. But there are some great ways to retarget, resend ads to people who are engaging with your content in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, I'll say probably the biggest or easiest ones, especially if you are leveraging social media in some capacity, would be retargeting with people who are viewing your videos. That can be viewing video ads, but it can also be viewing videos in your posts or your pages. And then
Yeah.
you can also retarget individuals who are engaged or like your pages. And so as you're kind of growing an audience, as you've got people who are liking your Instagram, following your Instagram, as you've got people who are um, joining your pages, those are great individuals to retarget to. You can also retarget people based on like if they're liking elements of your posts or your pages and just send little ads to them. The nice thing about retargeting campaigns is this is a very small, concentrated, specific audience. And so really don't need to spend that much money. It can be a few dollars a day and you can retarget the high priority people that are engaging and active with you and your brand. And it can go really, really far for you.
Yeah. I think with retargeting process and retargeting campaigns, what we're really talking about is levels of awareness and 2 levels of awareness here. Awareness on their problem and how close they are to wanting to purchase therapy in general, and then awareness on your specific solution and how much they trust or desire to buy it. So when we do something like a retargeting campaign, it could be, hey, it's time to buy. And it could be as blunt as that. Hey, you've been seeing my content. It's time to buy. And they're like, oh, really? Okay. Like it's time to book that call. It's time to pursue therapy. Or it can be now that you have their attention, maybe they've seen the name or the process, your colors, your brand a little bit. It could be a longer form post. It could be a video of you explaining how you guys uniquely do therapy. And I think that's the last piece. Attilio talked about retargeting with videos. That social combination of making especially video content organically and then retargeting anyone who watches and engages with your videos through paid ads can be a huge combo. So if you're already investing in organic content or if you're wanting to, make a lot of sense to run a $10 a day Facebook ad next to it to retarget all of those people so that way you can actually see conversions right away.
Yeah. So maybe a quick recap. Number one, we called it the headshot campaign here, but really this is like you're looking for people who are looking for therapy, right? Who are ready to maybe take some action and to
Yeah.
possibly purchase. This is targeting people who think or have considered using therapy as a solution. Number two is the lead magnet campaign. This is targeting people who have not considered therapy as a solution just yet. This is targeting people who maybe have a problem, but haven't associated therapy or using a therapist as the mode to solve their problem, right? you, a therapist, versus watching YouTube until they get better, or something like that. And then the final one is the retargeting campaign. This is touching everybody 1, 2, 3, 7, 10, 20, 100 times. Just reminding them of your brand, of your value, of ways that they can connect with you. These are just focused on the top priority, highest engagers, for the content, for your ads, and for other things.
100%. As kind of two last wrap up comments. Number one, if you're jumping into this, just know that like boosting posts versus going into the major ad platform and like building an ad are two very different things. We definitely don't recommend that you just launch posts to garner like likes, views, boosting. It's a very different strategy. We really want you to get conversions and make money, aka directly grow your list and or directly get appointments as soon as possible, especially when you're running ads the first time. We want you to be profitable with it. And number two is just give it a longer shelf life. Don't try it for a day or a week or sort of one campaign, especially if you're trying this on your own. Bluntly, you're probably not going to get it right the first time. And the second piece to that story earlier of I built my first Facebook ad, I posted it, got a couple leads, we got the first client. Like a month later, after we were going through some things, we realized that that person we thought came from the ad didn't even convert. And so my first campaign ever was just kind of a total flop. We've had lots and lots of successful campaigns since then. But all to say is give it a couple months. Say, hey, I'm going to try this strategy. I'm going to commit to budget for a couple months or longer until I get this right. Invest in an outcome and work towards crafting the process because we have practices that we work with every single day that spend thousands to tens of thousands of dollars monthly and profitably through the Facebook and Instagram ad platform. So I know for a fact you can too.
Yeah. On an additional note on give it a try for a few months, that doesn't mean set it and forget it, right? Go in, check it, make sure you're making updates and edits, and actively try to get the thing to work. We're giving you guys some parameters here. You should be getting about $10 to $15 leads on the headshot campaign or bottom of funnel campaign. You should be getting $2 to $5 leads on your lead magnet campaigns if you're doing those. And if you plan on doing retargeting campaigns, those should be some pretty cheap leads too, $5, $10. And when in doubt, just start with number one and just work on that until it's good. And then
Yeah.
once you feel like you've got some footing and it feels profitable and you understand what to expect and you understand sort of how to get to work, then go ahead and launch number two. Once number two starts working the way you want it, then launch number three. So I might stack it like that. Give it a try for a few months. So focus on maybe just number one for a few months until you crack the code and until you're sort of within KPI for those lead costs, and you're starting to turn those into new clients. So
Yeah.
just keep digging at it, keep cracking at it, ask for help, and likely you will figure it out. It's pretty easy
Yeah.
actually with therapists. It's not like a lot of other industries. I feel like you have to like sometimes be complex or so unique or so different, but usually in the therapy space, we've seen that the buyers are pretty forgiving, to say the least, for the ads. So don't feel like you have to do anything too crazy, but you do have to crack the code. Okay.
Yeah. As we wrap up today, I've got two great announcements for you. Number one is a CRM is something that certainly makes Facebook and Instagram ads a lot easier. You can automate follow-up. You can integrate all of the leads that come from the ads directly. We offer a HIPAA compliant CRM that does a ton of amazing tracking and automation. And we're now including a custom one-on-one setup call if you sign up in the next month or two, depending on when you're seeing this. And so we'd love for you to take advantage of that and just increase your marketing ability to convert clients through that process. And our team really helps you along the way with setup call and a lot of other things that system does. So definitely go to mytherapyflow.com, check that out. And the last piece is I'm hosting a 6-person guest series through my newsletter for the next month and a half here. So I've lined up 6 incredible expert guests. Half of them are licensed clinician practice owners. Other half are like financial and marketing experts for therapists specifically. And they're just going to drop some incredible niche specific content on practice profit, on growing your practice with email marketing, on lifestyle, like balanced practice changes, and a lot of other things. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Make sure you're just subscribing to the weekly newsletter if you're not already on there. You can get that through the website as well.
Well, guys, we hope to see you on our newsletter, and we'll see y'all next time.
Cheers.